Texts have the ability to represent features of the human experience and reveal anomalies, paradoxes, and inconsistencies in human behavior and motivation. Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice is a play written in the 16th century. There is oftentimes more than one way to conceptualize the nature of a person. This idea of inconsistency is revealed in the character Shylock, a victim to some, a villain to others, and an anomaly to many. People identify with collectives in which they belong to. Individuals can often clash as a result of the differing ideals between these collectives. Shylock serves to represent the collective human experience of the marginalized Jewish community of Venice. While talking to Antonio, Shylock states that
sufferance is the badge of our tribe. You call me misbeliever,
cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish cavity.
Shylock identifies with his Jewish tribe and their experience of being mistreated by Christians. The use of the description cutthroat dog and the symbolic action of spitting on his Jewish clothes demonstrates Antonio's complete lack of respect for Shylock and hatred of the greater Jewish community. The mistreatment of Jews reveals the hypocrisy of Christian ideals of fellowship.
Hat a Jew eyes? Hat a Jew hands? Warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is.
In his monologue, Shylock lists rhetorical questions to make the case that humans are human. A person's religion is irrelevant to the question of their humanity. People often act in ways that diverge from their stated ideals. Despite recognizing the common humanity between people, Shylock is hostile towards Christians in the same way that Christians are hostile towards him.
I hate him, for he is a Christian.
Shakespeare writes in monosyllabic words to convey Shylock's harshness. Shylock is vengeful towards Antonio when he says,
"You called me dog, but since I am a dog, beware my fangs."
Shylock turns the tables on an insult. Beware my fangs is a threatening metaphor used to convey that he will be vengeful if provoked. Shylock's insistence on Antonio's pound of flesh resonates as an evil act of a villain in the minds of the audience. Although the pound of flesh is a disgusting request, years of abuse have led Shylock to this outrage. We must contemplate his situation and recognize that an individual's motivations are too complex to be labeled as simply good or evil, characters too complex to be only villainous or only victimized. People can appear inconsistent in their actions. In the thought-provoking poem Vultures by Chinua Achebe, this idea is explored. The poem begins with use of alliteration to emphasize a depressing description of two vultures perched upon the
broken bone of a dead tree
in the
drizzle of one despondent dawn.
The vultures are portrayed as vile creatures who feast upon the
eyes of a swollen corpse.
Despite all this ugliness, the pair of birds are
inclined affectionately
toward each other. The poet reveals a speck of love in these otherwise ugly creatures. In an interesting parallel, the poet writes,
the commandant at Belsen camp, going home for the day with fumes of human roast clinging rebelliously to his hairy nostrils, will stop at the Westside sweet shop and pick up a chocolate for his tender offspring waiting at home for daddy's return.
Belsen camp, a place in which many were gassed to their deaths, is an epitome of human evil. The officer leaves his day job taking the fumes of human roast home with him. In a seemingly paradoxical turn of events, the commandant is sent to purchase a chocolate for his adoring children. The word choice daddy portrays the children's perception of their father as warm and affectionate, a systematic murderer, a loving family man. The contrasting elements of the commandant reveal that people can appear inconsistent in their actions. Shylock is a Jewish moneylender of Venice who is victimized for his place in society and becomes a vengeful villain through the abuse he has suffered. The commandant of Belsen camp is a Nazi who facilitates the murder of undesirables as his day job and returns home to his tender offspring with candy. These are both examples of complex characters that break our perception of absolutes. Shylock is both a victim and a villain. The commandant is both a murderer and an affectionate father. These inconsistencies can be strange, almost disturbing, but allowing ourselves to meditate on this reveals a deeper, more comprehensive understanding of human experience.